Good evening. Today we have 5 stories for you. First story might make you reconsider being a donor. Imagine feeling phantom limb pain after you're dead. The next is really a nice family story and how important it is to entertain yourself together. Bonding, you might call it. The third story takes a pizza delivery guy deep into the woods for something that might have seemed like an ordinary delivery. Of course it is not. Then we meet this poor fella, full of grief from his dead girlfriend. Sometimes he still can hear her callings. Lastly, we have a possibly true story about a hijacking gone wrong. So without further ado, let's go. I got my license renewed a week before the accident. The lady at the DMV scoffed at me when I said I didn't want to be an organ donor. You sure? Healthy young men like you could save some lives, you know. Was she hitting on me? I shrugged. Come on, the new year is right around the corner. Do it as a resolution or something. You can't use them when you're gone. With no real rebuttal and a burning desire to escape the conversation, I opted in. I knew you had it in you, she said happily. The last thing I remember was hitting a slick spot on the road. What was left of my human experience was spent hurtling through the air, severed from the rest of my body. I wasn't a bad person in life. Sure, I wasn't religious, but I was secretly hoping I'd be proven wrong. And maybe I was, because now I'm here. Alone. Blackness consumes my vision. I hear nothing. I can't move. I can't sleep. I can't scream. But I can feel. I can feel every piece of me they ripped out and gave to someone else. I can feel my heart pumping someone else's blood. I can feel my lungs breathing someone else's breath. I can feel my kidneys, my liver, my pancreas, all working like they were never mine. They buried what was left of my gutted corpse, but they condemned me to a hell I chose. How long has it been? Days? Years? Am I pumping blood for a child? Am I breathing air for a soldier? I can only leave this existence when all of the pieces of me do. I'm in agony. How long will it be until you die? Please, when will you all die? Until then, I wait for the void to consume me. The last year or so has been hard on our family. We are quite a sociable group, so it has been hard on us not to be able to go out. We have 2 teenage children, Meg and Steve. Meg has had a few medical issues in the past, which have stopped us from attending certain events. I love the girl, but wish she could be normal like her brother. We are constantly trying to come up with ways to keep ourselves amused. We have played every board game in the house, and are now sick of all of them. We have even watched every good show on Netflix, and cannot find anything else we like. Yesterday, I came up with a great idea that would cheer us all up. I explained it to my wife, and she was immediately on board with it. I got up early this morning, and went shopping for everything we needed. I snuck into Meg's room, and managed to tie her to the bed before she woke up. She was extremely confused, as she gazed up at us standing over her. I quickly shone the strobe light, and was delighted when she immediately started having an epileptic fit. We all laughed and enjoyed the sight of her trashing about on the bed. Sometimes, you have to create entertainment that the whole family can enjoy. On the night of October, our pizza store got a call for an order of a cheese pizza. It was specifically stated that no toppings should be on the pie, as they had already cooked their own. I found the addition weird, and their voice unnatural, like someone who smoked 12 packs a day, but still disregarded the feeling, as I rang up the order and prepared the car for delivery. Towering trees bellowed at their might, as I made my way to the clearing where the house stood. The place was devoid of neighbors, and made up for animals instead. Glowing eyes that were low on the ground peered at my vehicle from left and right, and that made me drive faster. I released a sigh of relief, as I was finally able to park near the front porch, only to be greeted by a high beam of another car behind me. The owner's face bore the look of confusion, as he stared at the pizza box I was holding. Before anything suspicious could cloud his mind, I explained how I received an order from this address, and he retorted by saying that his wife was lactose intolerant, so she couldn't have made the call. I shrugged, and nonchalantly replied without knowing then of the horror that would follow. "Oh, it wasn't your wife, it was another man." Life drained away from his face, as he rushed to the front door with his hands fumbling with the keys, as he dropped them more than once. Something pulled me to follow the distraught man, and when I entered the home, I found him kneeling on the floor by the kitchen doorway, as he released a shriek that was beyond human. A woman laid on the blood-stained tile with her body bearing a large cavity, that started from her throat down to her groin. Fats and muscles were strewed haphazardly, while some area of her skin showed signs of being peeled back. The sight was so visceral that I quickly averted my gaze, only for them to land on the table, a decision that made me taste regret. The sage-colored top was laden with organs, some still whole, some sliced, and others held an indication of bites. My trembling hands managed to call 911, as the husband continued to wail, his sanity fleeting with each second. Blue and red lights soon fought the darkness, and I watched as the EMTs tried to sedate the thrashing husband, while the officers investigated the harrowing scene inside. I once again found myself driving in the center of the woods, as I was asked to the police station for further statements. My eyes tried to focus on the cop car in front of me, but they still got shifted to the sight of those glowing eyes. Tears and sweat wrecked my whole being then, when those eyes slowly started to rise from the ground, to the height of a human and above, and then started to run alongside us, growling like a wild beast. Adam had collapsed onto his bed after yet another shift at work, another bout of sensory assault upon a mind that could no longer discern between logging off his work terminal and the drive back home. Sometimes he couldn't even recall opening the door to his cramped apartment, or how he would have to make a path between the seemingly self-accumulating trash. The bed felt so warm, so familiar, but Adam couldn't remember that its second half had been where his girlfriend used to sleep. She used to tell him that her side was the best, that it almost seemed like memory foam, and that one day she'll let him sleep there just to see his reaction. She had died in the crash, her face warped by the heat and the lacerations. Her seatbelt had gotten stuck. His did not. Adam tossed in his bed. The restlessness was normal now, it felt like nothing. If he strains himself, he can remember the moment his car hit the median and the way the world turned into some vile parody of itself. He cannot say her name. He cannot understand that he killed her by continuing to drive while falling asleep. He buried all of it deep inside, so nothing was familiar, and everything was alien. Adam knows his attempts at sleep will fail. As is his routine, he opens his eyes slowly and feels a potent dryness in his throat. When he pours himself a glass of water and drinks it, he doesn't feel any relief or hydration. The air is hot, and he can feel the sweat on his body stick like plastic melting to flesh. When he looks ahead of him, he can almost see a face in the darkness. He can almost make out the strands of her hair. "Remember me. Remember." In the corner of his eye, Adam could see that the figure was smiling. It beckoned for him to take something from it. Do it. Do it now. Adam didn't recognize when he had lit the match or when exactly he had dropped it. It took only 5 minutes for the apartment to become completely engulfed in flames. "Just keep driving straight, bitch, do anything stupid and you're dead," said the scratchy and grumbled voice in the backseat, as the parked police car came into view. He pushed his pistol hard into the back of my ear as if I could possibly forget that my life was threatened. "You helped me get the $25,000, and you'll go free," he reiterated. That's what he told me when he abducted me just after I closed the shop for the night. Gun to my head, he forced me into my car and ordered directions as to where to drive. I'd been driving for over 30 minutes, with a pistol to my head. Every second that passed, I doubted more and more that he had any intention of letting me live. My heart rate spiked even higher as we approached the officer at 45 miles per hour. My hands started shaking and suddenly felt almost too heavy for my arms. Every second closer to the officer, more pressure was pushed into the back of my head, but this was my only chance. Just before reaching the police car, I twisted the steering wheel hard to the right. Simultaneously, my head lurched forward and the airbag slammed into my face while a loud gunshot exploded in my left ear. My vision flashed, but the car stopped. My vision was blurry and the ringing in my ear muffled out any other sound. I clicked open my seatbelt and tried to open the door, but it was stuck shut. I slammed my shoulder into it, which sent another wave of pain down my arm, but the door didn't budge. A groan came from the back of the car, reminding me of my impending death. I took a deep, painful breath and slammed into the door one more time. The door burst free and I fell out, hitting my face on the asphalt. I scrambled to my feet, still dazed, and staggered toward the police officer who was walking toward me, bewildered. His eyes opened wide and he drew his gun, but he was too late. Several gunshots cracked through the air and the officer crumbled to the ground. I felt a hard hit in my back as the shots continued, then 2 more hard hits followed by an intense burn. I tried to breathe, but a sharp pain seized through my entire diaphragm and I hit the ground. The last thing I remember is laying next to the officer, watching the blood flow freely from the hole in his head, and realizing that we were both dead. I woke in the hospital after several hours of life-saving surgery. It wasn't long before the police arrived to ask questions and explain the situation. 4 women in the past 2 months had gone missing, and 2 of those women had already been found dead. They believe I was supposed to be the 5th, but that man who took me? He's still out there. Thanks for listening. But before I go, let me remind you to subscribe and hit the like button. Hit the bell as well to always keep updated. And if you really want to support our channel, make a comment. Nothing will help more. Even a friendly hi will do wonders. That being said, until next time, good night.